Greetings. This is a remake. I had taken out an earlier version of Left Hand Path of Christ. I think this may be a lot better. Bear with me. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say he hath a devil. Matthew 11, chapter 11, verse 18. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, Behold, a man gluttonous and a winebibber, a friend of publicans and sinners. The very next verse, Matthew chapter 11, verse 19. The fact that the Son of Man came eating and drinking suggests, and I emphasize suggests, that he is of the left hand path to enlightenment. I have a type error there that apostrophe S shouldn't be there. Now I have a question. And what is the left hand path of enlightenment? Well, it has much to do with eating, drinking, and rising up to play. Let's consider the woman at the well allegory, which suggests that the Son of Man rose up to play. Journeying to Galilee from Judea, Jesus had came to a city of Samaria named Sychar, where Jacob's well was. Now, the term Sychar or Sukar literally means wine. Remember, Jesus turned water into wine. That's a symbol right there. Sychar is actually a symbol, in my opinion. He was weary and thus sat on Jacob's well. It was about the sixth hour. The sixth hour is also a symbol, but a couple of these symbols I'm not going to reveal. It just takes too much to reveal everything. Then came a woman of Samaria to draw water, and Jesus, being weary and having nothing to draw water with, said unto her, Give me to drink. And Christ had asked for after Christ had asked for water, he suggested that he could offer the woman living water that's capable of preventing thirst. After some dialogue, the woman replied unto Christ, saying, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not. Found it in St. John chapter 4, verse 15. I encourage you to read the whole chapter. An apparent absurdity is evident. Christ clearly could have drank his own thirst preventative living water prior to his journey from Judea heading towards Galilee. Okay? And thus he would have not been weary nor asked the woman at the watering well for water. This conduct makes Christ to appear to be joking and or making an advance towards the woman. It was customary for the children of Israel to meet future spouses at watering wells. For example, Jacob met his wife Leah at this very watering well, and Moses met his wife Zipporah at a watering well. When Christ has suggested to give unto the woman living water, it appears to be a euphemism for lovemaking, and thus a suggestion appears that the Christ is of the left hand path. This woman at the well narrative is purely allegorical. Consider the following symbols. Christ is the ligam. Ligam is a Hindu term for phallus. The use of the term ligam within this presentation is to denote a phallic symbol. Now, ligament has a deeper meaning, but I'm just dealing with the surface meaning of it. Christ is the ligament. Christ, according to 1 Timothy chapter 5, verses 15 to 16, is the immortal potentate. This term potentate, which literally means sovereign, suggests a phallus. Impotency is the opposite of potency. You can see the similarities in these terms. Okay, according to Hinduism, the phallus is at the sacral chakra area, which is the second chakra, perhaps representative of the Church of Smyrna, which happens to be the second church mentioned in the book of Revelation. This second chakra is called a Swadhisthana, right? And it's perhaps representative of the Church of Smyrna in the book of Revelation. Okay, the sacral chakra called Swadhisthana is the area of sexuality. Smyrna is known for figs, a symbol of sexuality, and perhaps the forbidden fruit of the Garden of Eden. I want you to read this. Pause it and read it. I'm going to go on further. Now, if you don't know what this is, I don't know what to tell you. Because of gender, the phallus represents the Pingala Nadi. A Nadi is a channel. That's Pingala, and notice the sun. That's your masculine side, according to Hinduism. That's the masculine side. That's your Adam side. Okay. The whale is the yoni. The use of the term yoni in this presentation is to denote a female sex organ, the vagina. Okay, I'm using the surface meaning of yoni and not the complete meaning. This is what I mean by yoni. A whale is a deep, wet, watery hole, is it not? And the Hebrew letter ayin, defined as I, also means whale because eyes well up with tears. Now check out this viscous piscus. Piscus literally means bladder of the fish. It's called bladder of the fish because these symbols here look like a yoni. Take a very good look at it. The yoni is the wellspring of life. You can pause anytime and take a very good look at that. The yoni is also designated at the sacral chakra area, right? The Swadhisthana. Okay, because of gender, it represents the Ida channel, your feminine side or your Eve side. Now take a very good look at this picture. Adam and Eve, Pingala, Ida, the serpent is Kundalini, the tree, the Sushumna. The tree also represents your spinal cord. Union of the lingam and yoni is sexual activity. Was Christ of the left hand path? Was the Christ of the left hand path? Okay, now here's a more symbolism. The woman uses the 5 M's. On the surface, 5 M's signify the 5 males. Remember, Christ had asked the woman, where is her husband? And then he told her, you have 5, even 6 husbands. So this is why I'm using this 5M symbolism, okay? But 5 M's is the most significant clue of them all. It's also known in Hinduism as Panchamakara, which means the 5 substances of the left-handed path, which are these: alcohol, meat, fish, grain, and sexual intercourse. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say he hath the devil. Matthew chapter 11, verse 18. John the Baptist was clearly on the right-hand path. Why? Because he didn't use the 5 M's, seemingly. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, behold, a gluttonous man and a winebibber, friend of publicans, which are tax collectors and sinners. Matthew 11:19. Now, if Christ actually ate meat, fish, and grain, drank wine, and engaged in sexual activity, as the woman at the well allegory suggests, we may conclude from a Hindu standpoint that the Christ is of the left-handed path. The 4 Gospels are allegories, okay? Wherefore, as by one man sin entered to the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for they all have sinned. Romans 5, verse 12. Now, Romans 5, verse 12 is established upon the metaphorical, allegorical context. Here's why. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. 1 Timothy 2, verse 14. 2nd chapter, verse 14. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. And she took of the fruit. Okay, remember when the serpent talked to the woman? Chapter 3 of Genesis, verses 4 and 6. Now, the talking serpent, okay, influenced Eve to partake in the fruit, which probably was a fig. But this story is an allegory. Thus, Christ was crucified due to the influence of a talking serpent that has never existed. This is my interpretation. If you believe in talking serpents, that's your business. Now I want to show you something I found to be very interesting. These letters here, our alphabet, which came out of ancient Egypt, in my opinion, didn't use vowels. Okay, so are we looking at the word Genesis, which means carnal knowledge? You know what it means to have carnal knowledge is to have sex, right? Carnal knowledge. Or are we looking at the term genosis? Excuse me, gnosis, which means what? Metaphysical knowledge or spiritual knowledge? Okay. Now, gnosis and Genesis, we are looking at phallic symbols, right? Phallic is a penis. That white symbol with the sun and the star and the moon and the sun, that lion-headed serpent is a Gnostic symbol, by the way. The serpent, Kundalini serpent, represents the feminine principle, which is spiritual knowledge and metaphysical concepts, the right side of your brain, and carnal knowledge and physical conceptions. I would assume it's the left side of your brain, but it's the male principle. And Adam knew his wife Eve, and she conceived and bare Cain. Phallicism, okay, we're looking at two phallic symbols, Gnosis and Genesis. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, phallicism is a anthropological term applied to that form of nature worship in which adoration is paid to the generative function symbolized by the phallus, the male organ. You can pause to read the rest of that definition. The serpent is considered, unsurprisingly, to be a phallic symbol, yet is also one of the oldest emblems of female power. There's the link, go look it up. The serpent has 6 principal points of connection with Dionysus. Dionysus is the god of wine. The 6th principal point is a phallic emblem. There's the link, go look it up. The Garden of Eden narrative is undoubtedly an allegorical, grossly misinterpreted by most Christians, if not all Christians. Scripture makes no mention of an apple, and the belief in talking serpents as history is nonsensical. These are our words, basically. The serpent of the Garden of Eden is a clear phallic symbol, and the only fruit alluded to within the garden is the fig, which is also a phallic symbol or a symbol of sex. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. Genesis chapter 3, verse 7. According to sacredtext.com, the tree under the title Tree of the Knowledge of Good and Evil, various species of the fig tree are held sacred. Thus it is with the Ficus indicus, which is a type of fig tree, the sacred tree of the Hindu Brahmins. By the way, this Adam and Eve story came out of Hindustan. It did not originate with the Jews. In ancient Egypt, the Ficus sycamoris, a type of fig tree, was also considered sacred, also in Greece and Italy. Now, according to sacredtext.com, in this title, in honor of Bacchus, Bacchus is the Roman god for Dionysus, the god of wine. The sacred phallus itself appears to have been made of the wood of a fig tree. Okay, according to sacredtext.com, considering that the sycamore was sacred among the Hebrews, there can be little difficulty in identifying the fig tree with the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life, however, undoubtedly had the reference to the male element. References made to the serpent and the tree of wisdom, which is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, sufficiently prove its phallic character. Even the early Christians knew this. We're talking about 1st and 2nd century history. Judging from the foregoing evidence, it is highly probable that the mystics who had devised the Garden of Eden allegory were hinting at a fig, which is a phallic symbol, as the forbidden fruit, not an apple, as Catholics teach. And thus the Garden of Eden allegory suggests that the fall of man occurred because of fellatio. Why? Because they put the fig in their mouth. Pun intended. Not to exclude other lower chakra sex acts such as cunnilingus, bestiality, and sodomy. Coming to a close, considering the latter explanation, Genesis 2, chapter 2, verses 20, which says, "But for Adam there was not found and help meet for him suggests that there was no help suitable for Adam to procreate with. Thus, bestiality is forbidden. And I'm coming to a close. I bid you adieu.